Hello everyone, today I've picked up this Battle Arena deck featuring Xerneas and Yveltal decks. What's really cool about this is that you actually get two 60 card decks, so if you're looking for a good way to start playing with your friends, this is a great way to pick up two decks, and they're both really nice decks to play with. I'll show you the back of this while I talk. What I also like about it is that you can get a lot of holographic cards that you can't get otherwise. Here is a listing of all the cards, including some foil energies. There are 6 fairy foil and 6 dark foil energies, along with regular fairy and dark energies in there. And you get a foil, well, 2 foil Yveltals and 2 foil Xerneas. Along with this side, I think has a Zoroark foil, and this side has a Carbink and an Aromatisse hollow. So pretty cool, and there's a list of everything else in the deck. So let's crack these open and take a look at these decks. Like I said, I'm pretty excited that these are not half decks, that they are full 60 card decks, but that does make the product a little bit more expensive. I think retail this is about $29.99 or $30 thereabouts, which is about the price of 2 theme decks. And that kind of makes sense. And I'm not sure if I opened this up the right way. I did also like the packaging of it. It made it very appealing and nice to pick up. There we go. But not so easy to get out. That aside. Alright, so we've got the Xerneas deck. Sorry, the Yveltal deck. I'm misspeaking. I'm looking at the, not looking at the camera. This is the Yveltal deck. It even says Yveltal on the side here. Pretty cool. If you are going to be playing with this deck, this card does need to go as part of the cards. And same with the Xerneas. Pretty cool little deck boxes. What you also get are 2 sets of damage counters, 1 for each player. 2 coins, 1 for each player. One is a Yveltal and one is a Xerneas, which is very appropriate. I've got Xerneas upside down. Pretty cool. You get, this is a playmat for a two-player game, which is very helpful if you're just starting. You also do get a code card to play this stuff online. And there is a handy-dandy sheet here that gives you some additional information on each deck and why they're really good and the strategies behind the deck. And here's the same for the Yveltal side. So if you're going to be playing these decks, good idea to read through this. This is why they were built. So it kind of talks about what you should be trying to do early on. Like for example, the Yveltal deck is using special conditions to try to disrupt your opponent early on. And the Xerneas deck uses its 4 Xerneas in variation as key in success. So, you know, if you're playing the Xerneas deck, you want to get your Xerneas out as quickly as possible. If you're playing the Yveltal deck, you're trying to use special conditions to slow down your opponent. Let's take a look at the decks. I'll take a look at Xerneas first. This is a promo card. It is an X and Y promo number 31. I believe they're up to 31 already. It's beautiful card. I love the artwork on it. And the attacks are pretty nice. Aurora Gang lets you do 50 damage, and your opponent's next turn. Xerneas has no weakness. And the bottom attack for 4 energies, which is a kind of hefty amount, Light of Life, does 80 damage, but does 40 more if your opponent has an Yveltal in play. It doesn't even have to be active, it just has to be in play, which Yveltal is a pretty popular card to play. So it's a good way to do 120 damage, but for 4 energies, that's kind of rough. And here is the actual deck itself. Now in a deck you're going to find a lot of duplicate cards because that's how a deck is going to be played. So here's a duplicate of that Xerneas promo, and I only need to keep one of these, so one of these will be up for trade. And here's a Carbink. So this is an alternate printing from the Flash Fire set, Carbink. Actually, I'm not even entirely sure if it's alternate. It might just be a holographic, just the way it is in the set. And the same with the Aromatisse, it's a hollow from X and Y. So I don't think these are actually alternates. I think they're just the same printings that they were in the sets themselves, which is kind of a bummer because I was hoping to get something a little bit different. But you do get these beautifully shiny holographic fairy energies, and you get 6 holographic ones of these. It's kind of a bummer that they weren't all holographic, but I understand. That would make it pretty expensive to print, but these are beautiful, and I will be keeping these. And then you get 10 additional fairy energies. And here are the trainers. So you start with a professor's letter, good way to get some energy acceleration on, and early on get some more energy in your hand. And then you get Fairy Garden, which helps have a free retreat cost so you're not wasting energy. There's a Lysander, allows you to switch your opponent's Pokemon. Hard Charm, which is going to be reducing damage. 2 of those. 2 Professor Sycamore, great card. Lets you discard your hand and draw 7 new cards. Great way to refresh. Evo Soda, very useful for evolving, especially into that Aromatisse that you saw at the beginning. There he is. Because he's going to let you move around your energies. That Fairy Transfer lets you move around fairy energies however you like. So, good way to get people, your Pokemon energized and ready to attack. Here's a Pokemon Center Lady. A good way to heal. Pokemon Fan Club lets you get your Pokemon on the bench a lot faster. Lets you search for 2 basics. Tierno lets you draw 3 cards. Get 2 of those. Full Heal, help with special conditions. And if you're facing that Yveltal deck, which we'll take a look at, this will be very nice to have. There's 2 of those. 2 Energy Retrieval to get some energy back. 2 Ultra Balls. And here is that card that is a new card. It is a promo X and Y card number 33. It's called Trevor. And it lets you search your deck for Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So it's almost like a Pokeball, but you don't have to flip for it. But it is a supporter, so it takes your supporter action for the turn. So pretty cool. I will be keeping that as a promo. And here we get into the Pokemon. You get Frou-Frou, which isn't too powerful of a Pokemon, but can be used to stall, especially with ability to possibly paralyze. Here's a different Frou-Frou, also has the possibility of paralyzing your opponent. Eevees, which these are always very versatile. You can always evolve them into like Sylveon in this deck, which would be very, very nice. And there's 2 of those. And there's that Sylveon. And it's pretty cool because it is first attack for just 1 fairy energy, does 30 damage, and it lets you move energies attached to your opponent's active Pokemon to a bench Pokemon. So it kind of disrupts your opponent from being able to attack you with the bigger attacks. And Echo Voice does 50 damage and allowing you to do 50 more damage if you use Echo Voice twice in a row. And you get 2 of those Sylveons. And there's a Jigglypuff. And a Wigglytuff, which is pretty nice. I would try to evolve to him pretty quickly as well as the Aromatisse because of the gathered energy. It lets you search your deck for basic energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon and shuffle your deck afterwards. So it's a really, really good to get that Xerneas powered up if you're planning to use his bottom attack with the 4 energies. You're really, really going to need that. You get 2 of those. Then there's Spritzy, which is going to evolve into that Aromatisse that lets you move around energies. Here is the non-holo Carbink, so at least one of these is going to be an alternate printing to what is in the Flash Fire set, because this is the non-holo, which I believe Carbink is a holo in the set, so he'll be keeping that card as an alternate printing. And here's Mr. Mime. And here's Xerneas, which is also really, really nice Xerneas, and hopefully the one you start out with, because his first attack for just 1 fairy energy lets you do Geomancy, choosing 2 of your bench Pokemon. You search your deck for fairy energy and attach to each of those Pokemon. So really, really good way to accelerate those energies. And you get 2 of these cards. So this is your ideal starter in this deck to try to get those energies on the board faster and being able to use the more expensive attacks. So pretty cool deck. I think they've got a very, very interesting strategy here. If you are going to be playing this deck, Fairy is a very, very fun deck to play. If you are a collector, pretty cool way to get some extra cards that are printed differently than what is in the sets themselves, along with all these promo cards and holo fairy energy cards, which are really, really cool. So next, let's take a look at the Yveltal deck. Here's your starved Yveltal, which I really, really like the artwork on this one. He looks really mean. but I like his first attack the most. For 3 energies, you can flip a coin. If heads, you discard energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon, and you do 50 damage. So that's a pretty cool way to slow down your opponent, especially if you're facing a Xerneas that is trying to get energy on the board. At least this way you can try to slow him down, discarding at least 1. And then we take a look at the cards in here. So here's a Holo Zoroark from X and Y, which I believe this is the same way it was printed in the set, so it's not any different. And you get 2 of those, which is an awesome way to get a holographic card. Pretty cool. Then you get these beautiful holographic dark energies, which are gorgeous, and I will be keeping. And you get 10 additional dark energies. Likewise, you start here with the trainers, having 2 Professor's Letter, very useful to get energy on the board. And here's a stadium that's better for this deck. It's Magnetic Storm. Each player's Pokemon in play have no resistance, which is going to be very helpful if you are facing the Xerneas deck, because the Xerneas has a resistance to darkness of -20, so this will get rid of that resistance. Here is a Lysander. Muscle Band lets you do 20 more damage to your opponent. Here's Sycamore, letting you discard your hand, draw 7 more cards. Red Card, which makes your opponent shuffle his hand and draw 4 cards. You get 2 of those. Cassius lets you shuffle all one of your Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck, which this is a pretty interesting strategy, especially if one of your Pokemon has a lot of damage on it. It's a great way just to get it back in the deck and your opponent's not going to get a prize. Pokemon Fan Club, Shauna, 2 of those. Here is 2 switches, which are very, very useful, because unlike the Xerneas deck, you're not going to have a free retreat from from the Fairy Garden that they have as a stadium if they get that out. Energy Retrieval, Ultra Ball, and here's that Trevor card, which is a promo card. It's X and Y 33, searching your deck for a Pokemon, revealing it, and shuffling your deck afterwards. And then getting into the Pokemon. Here we have Inkay with Upside Down Evolution. If this Pokemon is confused, you search your deck for a card that evolves from him and evolve right away. And if you notice, his first attack for 1 darkness energy confuses both Pokemon, which is really, really neat, because if you start out with this guy and you have just 1 dark energy attached to him, you confuse yourself and your opponent, and then on your next turn, since he's confused, you just evolve him and that gets rid of the confusion, and you're evolved. Whereas your opponent's confused and probably damaging himself. So, great, great starter in your Inkay. Here's that Malamar that you can evolve into. For 1 energy, your opponent flips 4 coins. For each tails, he or she discards a card from his or her hand. So great way to distract your opponent and disturb whatever plan they've got going on. And then Distort Beam does 30 damage, and your opponent's Pokemon is asleep if heads, and if tails, they're confused. So pretty good way to get those special conditions on the board. Then we got some Scraggies, which there's 3 of. They're going to evolve into Scrafty, which the main attack you're going to want to go for is the Machine Gun Headbutt here. You flip through coins. This attack does 50 times the number of heads, but it confuses his Pokemon. So that's when you want to have a switch to get him out of there so he doesn't have to stay confused. Then we have Zorua, which is going to eventually evolve into the Zoroark. And this is a pretty neat evolution. The Zoroark lets you use Corner for just 1 energy, doing 30 damage, and your opponent can't retreat, which is pretty useful way to try to get him knocked out really, really quickly. You do 30 damage, and then next turn you can maybe do 100 damage and really knock him out without them being able to retreat. Keep in mind there's a dark side to doing that 100 damage. You flip a coin of tails, you have to discard 2 energy attached to Zoroark. Then we have some Poison, which is kind of interesting because there's obviously no poison energies in this deck. The Scroopy's in here just for the first attack, the Poison Sting. You flip a coin of heads, your opponent's now poisoned. So it's another way to get a special condition onto your opponent. But that Scroopy does evolve to a Drapion that can use dark energies. And is attacked with the Venoshock for 1 energy, lets you do 20 damage, and if your opponent's poisoned, it does 40 more. So if you had used Skorupi's attack first and been successfully poisoned your opponent, then done Venoshock, you're doing 60 damage. Plus that poison's doing damage in between turns, which is pretty cool. And Venomous Fang does 80 damage and poisons, but it takes 4 energies, so that's a lot to build up to. And here is some nice Yveltals that are a great, great way to get energy onto your field. With the Oblivion Wing for 1 dark energy, you can attach a dark energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So if, for example, you were to use an Ultra Ball that we found here earlier and discard 2 cards, and those cards are hopefully dark energy cards to put into your discard pile, you then can use Yveltal to bring those energies back onto the field and attach them to your bench Pokemon, getting that energy acceleration a little bit faster. So, pretty interesting deck. I think if I had to pick a favorite, I don't know if I could. I actually really like the way both these decks are set up to run, but I really like special conditions, so I think I would like the Yveltal deck better. The Xerneas deck is certainly a lot of fun getting those energies on the board and getting them moved around, so you can really kind of confuse your opponent with what you're doing and which Pokemon is going to be attacking them if you get that Aromatisse into play and start moving the energies. Where did he go? There he is. So, pretty interesting. Which deck is your favorite? Do you like the Xerneas or the Yveltal deck better? Leave me a comment in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed these videos, and I hope to see you back tomorrow for more openings. Bye, guys.